You're listening to Demand and Disrupt, the podcast for information about accessibility, advocacy, and all things disability.
Welcome to Demand and Disrupt, a disability podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Parsley.
And I'm your co-host, Sam Moore. I am in Henderson, Kentucky, and Kimberly is in Bowling Green. How's life in the Corvette City, Kimberly?
Well, it's just going great. Just staying busy as can be. How about you up there in Henderson?
Oh, I'm doing quite well. Staying pretty busy myself. Got as we record this, it is the eve of the play day, and so we've been busying ourselves with that, me and the crew. And so in 2 weeks, when we reconvene here, Kimberly, I will have a nice reflection ready for you.
Okay, and what's your lines memorized percentage now, Sam?
I'd say I know a bunch of people were probably sweating when I said I was about 50 last time. I'd say it's about 99 this time. I'm to the point that at this point I can at least mess up without people knowing that I messed up,
Well, there you go. Now, so what about you? Are you nervous?
I'm more excited. I
Good.
really enjoy these plays, and there'll be a few nerves tomorrow, I'm sure. But like our playwright Bob Park says, a few nerves aren't necessarily a bad thing, because it keeps you focused and brings out the best in you as a performer. Go. So
it's a motivator, I guess.
It is a motivator for sure.
Well, good to know. You get to report back next time and
absolutely
let us know how it all went. This is not exactly your debut though, because you've done this before. So we will
done it before, but it's the finale. This guy says it's his last one, so it could be our climax.
Yeah, your swan song,
right?
So well, today on the show, our interview guest is Reese Williams, and Reese is someone who lives with a mental health disability, and he's going to talk to us all about that and how he lives with that and how he finds help. And great conversation, wonderful conversation. Found out lots of things I didn't know. So y'all stay tuned for that. And I look through lots of disability articles. I'm constantly, sure. I get newsletters and things all the time, so I can stay on top of all the latest news. And there was a study recently talking about a much higher incidence of loneliness among people with disabilities. And I thought two things. First, my thinking was, well, duh.
Right.
And my second thing was, well, are there some reasons that I haven't thought about? I mean, I'm blind, so transportation is obviously it for me. So I started thinking about other reasons and things. So, Sam, what do you think that is? That well, I guess the first question: are you lonely, Sam?
No, not at this particular point. Knock on wood. But
that's because you're busy. You're just an active person.
I try to stay active as much as possible, but I could see that being an issue. Well, like you said, transportation, and as we get older and sort of cut back on our schedule, and we become more relaxed, and our schedule becomes more open, maybe that can be attributed to loneliness. That in combination with transportation. Plus, as we get, like you were pointing out before we went on the air here, as we get older, health tends to become an issue. And so when we go out, we have to take our, ventilators and equipment and things like that. And that can be a pain too. And so we're like, is it worth the trouble to tote all this stuff to our destination?
Right.
Companionship.
Yeah. If for so many of us, it does require extra equipment that has to be carried around. And for me personally, there's some anxiety. I mean, I'm home so much, and it's kind of like a snowball, that the more I'm home, the more anxious I am about getting out. The more anxious I am about getting out, the more I stay home.
Yeah. And sometimes the more you stay home, and I like my home nights, I won't lie, but sometimes the the longer I stay home, the more I find things to worry about, which is why I think we should all try to get out at least a few nights a week.
And how many times have you dreaded a thing? Dreaded getting ready for the thing, doing the thing. And then after you get there and you get home, you are really glad you put forth the effort.
Yeah. And you get home and you're like, man, I am in a lot better mood than I would be had I stayed home.
Yes. Yes, exactly. New experiences are important for body and mind.
Yeah. And you surprise yourself, like you said, with how enjoyable they are a lot of times.
Yeah, true. And now all of that is true. And yet I do find myself, I never used to watch TV because there just wasn't very much audio description at all.
Right.
And now there's audio description, which is where, there's a track that explains, things that aren't obvious.
And certain graphics that are
for
not
people
explained,
who are blind and visually impaired. It's kind of like for blind people, audio description is what captioning is. For people
for somebody who's hard of hearing.
Exactly. So there's so much more audio description content now that I find myself enjoying television so much more. And we've been watching Wednesday on Netflix.
Wednesday.
Are you an Addams Family fan at all?
Yeah, I like the Addams Family. I especially like the theme song. They're creepy and they're creepy. That always, especially around Halloween, that always, takes precedence in my memory.
Right. And Wednesday, they did a season, I don't know, a couple of years ago about Wednesday Addams. And she goes to something called Nevermore Academy.
Nevermore Academy, founded by, of course, Edgar Allan Poe. And absolutely. I should have known.
And the second season just started a couple of weeks ago. So we have been watching Wednesday, and I love it. And
that sounds like an interesting Addams Family spinoff.
Oh, it is. I love it. It's so good. We make the kids, Michael and I make the kids watch it with us, and they actually do like it. So
I was going to say, I'm sure it's probably growing on them.
No, they do like it. Yeah, they like it.
And you're on season 2, you said?
Yes. Season 2 is they just released season 2 a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, there's 4 episodes out. You know what? They release them on, obviously Wednesdays. So
for Wednesday Addams.
So, right. So by the time our listeners are hearing this, there's probably at least 1 or 2 more episodes out, maybe more. So
right, yeah. And you said there's 4 out, and you've probably, I guess you've watched a couple of the season 2.
Oh, yeah, I've watched all 4 of the episodes of season 2 so far. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. So you watch, I guess, like once a week.
Yes, they you know how all the streaming services do it differently. Well, now they came out with like 2 episodes the first week and then 2 episodes the second week. And I don't know if that's what they'll continue or they'll cut down to 1. Who knows? It's all to make you keep paying.
Yeah, and you watch these shortly after they come out, I'm sure, like within a few days.
Yep. Exactly.
So you stay caught up
on Netflix. Yep, I do. And so there's lots of new media. And speaking of media that's not new, old media, did you know that this month is the 50th anniversary
drum roll.
50th anniversary of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run album.
Oh, the boss himself.
The boss himself. I know. I am a huge fan of the boss.
His music spans generations.
Doesn't it though? It just does. My son even loves the boss. So
you don't have to have been born during that time span to appreciate his music.
No, he's full of talent. So are you a fan of the boss?
Yes, most definitely. I love the boss, and that album, Born to Run. Let's see, 50th anniversary. So that would have been 70, which, by the way, Kimberly didn't mention this, but I will mention it for her. That album came out the same year that she was born.
It did. It did indeed. And yet the boss is still touring, still on stage,
Yes,
so
he's still at least fairly active.
Yeah, I think we talked about he's on stage. He may need a stool,
Right.
to sit on when he's up there. So
whatever it takes.
Yeah. So what's your favorite Bruce Springsteen song?
Well, if it's hard to pick one single favorite, but if I had to narrow it down between two and three, or two or three, I would definitely say "Born in the USA." That always makes me feel patriotic, and "Glory Days." You can't beat "Glory Days."
Mm-hmm,
That's a good, especially me being a baseball fan. It talks about a baseball player in the song, and so
that's true.
And of course, the Secret Garden song. You remember that one?
I do.
From the Jerry Maguire movie.
Yeah.
That's a good one. And of course, Born to Run for the title track from the aforementioned album.
Well, I think you and I have to pick, Dancing in the Dark, right?
Yes. That's one we can relate to, isn't it?
We have to have Dancing in the Dark there.
We have to throw that into the mix.
But I think my favorite, I think it's probably Thunder Road. I think that's my favorite.
Thunder Road, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
It sounds familiar. I'm sure I'd know it if I heard it.
It's the first. It's the first song on the Born to Run album, and I think it's my favorite.
Born to Run song on that album.
Born to Run was not Bruce Springsteen's first album, as some people think. It was not his first, but it was the one that really rocketed him into popularity. So
it's the one that if you had to pick a signature album from Springsteen, that would probably be the one.
I think it would be. I think so. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was a good one. And you probably had a cassette tape.
I believe. You know what? I had a cassette tape of Born in the USA, which was my mom's, because my mom was she was a Bruce Springsteen fan. So I believe Born in the USA might have been the first cassette tape we had. And I remember she had what were the little records called? Not the big album size, but the single. Do you know what I'm talking about? What were they?
And wasn't an 8-track, was it?
No, it wasn't an 8-track. It wasn't tape. It was a record, but they were the small records. They were like singles. They had, anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly. I know I know the term if I heard it. But.
Yeah, it was a number. It's like 45. There wasn't 45s. Were 45 the album? I don't know. So see, I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Right? Yeah. You weren't around when dinosaurs roamed the world or anything.
No, not even close. No. So right. And my mom had the Bruce Springsteen "Hungry Heart." That was like one of his
Everybody's got a hungry heart. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, that. She had that on a single, so I actually had that. So yeah, Bruce Springsteen, long time. Yep.
Yeah, so. There's multiple generations of Kimberly's family.
That's true.
Drawn, and you said even your kiddos are fans.
Yeah. Ian is,
or especially Ian. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes,
the boss's legacy lives on, and his music.
True that. Absolutely.
And his actual stage presence at times.
Right. Now, another thing that is in the news right now that is concerning to artists and creators is AI. Artificial intelligence. So tell me, Sam, pontificate, if you will, on your thoughts on AI. Yes.
I've never heard. You might have just added a word to my vocabulary there. Kimberly, pontificate. But anyhow, well, it's amazing how quickly it is becoming more and more part of our lives, and in some cases that's good, and in some that's bad. But I've noticed that whenever I type a question or whatever into a Google search engine, I always get an AI overview. You know what I'm talking about?
What even is that thing? I don't even know what that is. What am I supposed to do with that?
Well, you can't trust it completely. It'll give you.
No, are you saying it lies?
It'll give you what it thinks it reads, but then I always have to, always want to verify that via trustworthy sources. So you can't always go by the answer that AI gives you to a question.
We're entering some interesting times, murky
Yeah,
waters,
it's sort of uncharted ground, but
Yeah,
it's sort of like it's sort of like credit cards, Kimberly. You just have to know the pros and cons.
I guess so. I guess so. Isn't that true with all new technology, though? We're
Indeed,
always
yeah. With anything
scared.
that comes
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. I think that's always true. We're always scared until we learn exactly what the
And
parameters of the thing are,
then they have what they call the innovators, who are like the first people to try these new things and use them. And I'm not what they call an innovator. I want to have proof that it works for a few people before before I make the investment.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that. I think that's probably prudent,
Yeah,
prudent
try to learn the
way to be.
technology.
So
Right.
yeah, exactly. So a lot's going on. It's a busy time.
Yes.
AI is, of course, going to be even more in the news because at the time when we're recording in late August, mid to late August, I believe Google just had a big event, and of course, Apple has a big event, and where they introduce their new stuff in September. So I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot more about AI.
And keeping up with the new Apple innovations is almost impossible.
Yeah,
Because there's new stuff popping up every time the wind changes direction.
true, and I'm never sure, is it actually that much different? I mean,
Is it worth me forking out the big bucks to buy something that's
yeah,
not that much different than what I've got already?
right. I am not one of those who tends to pre-order the latest iPhone.
Sure, yeah, me neither.
No, I don't update. I don't buy new. I don't until other people have already vetted it for me.
Yeah, same
Unintentionally.
here.
Yeah.
Same here, Kimberly.
But I'm always excited to see what's coming out or what they tell us is coming out. Whether it actually comes out or not, who knows?
Yeah, it's always good to at least keep an open mind to it. And that's something that I could probably even do a better job of myself. But, we should at least appreciate it and be receptive, shall we say.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, lots going on. Lots of, I think August ushers in September, and then before you know it, it seems like you're in the holidays. So busy time of year.
Yeah, you got your Christmas shopping done, Kimberly?
You're funny, Sam. No, it's just the year at this point. Once you hit this time of year, it's just pedal to the metal.
There's never a dull moment between August and December.
It's true. It is so true. Yeah. Nope. Not a dull moment.
So we'll have plenty of discussion points, folks, over the next 4. And you can add to those, by the way.
Oh, here we go. Tell us how, Sam. Tell us how.
You can email us. We always love hearing from we call them disruptors, don't we, Kimberly?
We do. They are our disruptors.
Yes, we always love hearing from our disruptors. And the email address, it's real hard, demandanddisrupt@gmail.com.
That is how you get us. That is how you find us. So
with your questions and comments and show ideas, and you might even get a shout out on the show.
You might even. Exactly. So do that definitely. But before you do that, stay tuned and listen to my interview with Reese Williams. Welcome to Demand and Disrupt, a disability podcast. I am Kimberly Parsley, and I am here today with Reese Williams. Hello, Reese. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Wonderful. And Reese and I are going to have a discussion about mental health. And that's not something we have covered enough here on Demand and Disrupt, but we are going to rectify that today and talk about mental health and mental health services and maybe ways other people can find information if they're in need of mental health services. So, Reese, why don't we start by having you tell us about your journey with mental health?
Well, that journey started probably when I was extremely young. I was born into a family that there was a lot of trauma. And so I don't remember anything before trauma. And so by the time I was maybe 3, I have dissociative identity disorder. Well, and by the time I was 3, a new personality had appeared.
So tell me about what is that dissociative identity disorder? What is that?
Dissociative identity disorder is something that happens under extreme and prolonged trauma. It's when the mind just it can't take it. And the brain is actually, it works amazingly, and it separates you from whatever's happening by creating another part who will experience it instead of me. I don't
So
know
it's
if
like
that makes sense.
so it's like a self-protective
Yes, it's
sort of.
protective. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Not knowing anything about that, I would assume 3 is extremely young for that to
Yeah.
happen.
Yes.
Okay. And so then tell me how you continued on dealing with that.
Well, because my abuse lasted until I was 18 years old, I have several personalities because it was just one trauma after another. And so my mind split into more than 9 personalities. Now, there are only 8 active. And what that means is there's 8 of us that will come out and be present. There are other ones that I don't need anymore, and some of them I don't even remember. I'll go back and read something and know that none of us wrote that. And so, there are some that I just don't remember anymore, but they never go away. They have a job to do and they come out when they're needed.
I guess I don't even know where to begin asking about that. How, I guess, how do you function with that?
It's taken years and years to be able to communicate with each other. And really, I started being able to do that a couple of years ago when I finally found a decent therapist. And I'm 63 years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Way back when it was considered not real. They called it, I can't remember what they called it, other things.
Is that what they used to refer to as like split personality disorder or something?
It was multiple personality
Oh,
disorder.
right.
Yeah.
And you're right. I remember people saying, well, that's not real.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and most people, they watch the movie Sybil or some of these new ones about, having multiple personalities, and people actually think that's what it's like. And it's not that, it's not like that. It's not like so bizarre, at least to me.
Yeah. And it's hard to know when you're getting your information about something from something that a work of fiction. It's hard for people to know what's creative license and what is based in reality, right?
Exactly.
So how long did it take you said, to find a therapist who could help you work with that?
The first therapist I found, I was in my late 20s, and she's the first one that diagnosed me. And at that time, I wasn't ready, and I didn't want to talk about it. And so I left that therapist. And it wasn't until about 2.5, 3 years ago that I finally found a therapist that was willing to accept the diagnosis, agree with the diagnosis, and then allow other parts to come out for therapy, because every one of us has been through trauma. And, every one of us needs help in some way or another. It's like separate people. We all have different interests. In our mind, we all look differently, write differently, act differently. The last 2 therapists that I've had have been able, after a time, to recognize who is out at the time, which is so nice.
Yeah. Now, do each of of the personalities have a different name?
They do.
They do.
Different age and different names.
Okay. So, like, if I'm talking to Reese right now, will Reese know if another personality sort of what happens then? Tell me what happens then. Like takes over? I don't. I apologize for not knowing.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. This is about education, so
it is. Yes.
Yeah. I want to be honest and say there really is no Reese. Reese was a name chosen just out of necessity. The person that was born in this body, since the abuse happened so young, has been, I don't know how to explain this for you to understand, has been put aside and protected and not allowed to come out. And so that part is still very, very young. And it had been the decision to let that part stay protected and not come out. And so you are talking to Devin. I'm the one that handles the business and, anything that daily talking to doctors or, like this interview.
Okay. So is this the personality that you'd say you're most comfortable with?
Actually, I'm comfortable with all of them.
Okay.
Now, some of them, there's one named Alex, and he is 16, and he acts like a 16-year-old.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I mean, I had been in therapy in a group not long ago, and he came out and he told the therapist this was just all stupid. We're in a group of people, and he just says, this is just stupid. I don't see what the point is.
That sounds like a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Yep, it does.
So the age differences are 3, 5, 9, 12, 16, 18. I'm somewhere in my 30s. I don't know exactly how old. And then Wendy is the artist, and she is in her 20s.
And do the personality shifts happen in an effort to protect you or to meet a need?
Yes, both.
Both. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And most of the time, they will only come out if there's a trigger, except for, me, Devin, and Jack. We're out most of the time.
Okay. And so tell me about, that sounds like a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it can.
Trauma and all those things. Tell me what impact that had on your ability to function and live a life in society.
Well, it's still difficult to do that. It has affected relationships. To be honest, my sons and I are estranged, and I don't remember much of their childhood. So I don't know if there were things said. I wish I could remember, but I don't. Mm-hmm. And that evidently means there was another part or parts raising them. So that's been a consequence. I'm disconnected quite often, especially from emotions. Sometimes I just don't even know what I'm feeling. And then there's the whole thing about trust. Nobody can be trusted unless they earn it. I'm always guarded. There's always a wall up. And I really separate myself from other people.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's common among people who have mental health difficulties?
I think so. I think that people with mental health difficulties, oftentimes they don't talk about it. I know many people with mental health disabilities who've lost families, can't make friends, just, it's a very lonely world to have a mental illness, because unless a person has one, they have no idea what it's like to deal with that out in the world.
And it is a disability. I mean, it is a disability, correct?
Yeah.
You would consider yourself disabled?
Yes, I've been disabled for a while. Yeah.
Right. Because I think it's important that we say that.
It is considered a disability.
Yeah, I think it's important to say that. And also, tell me about maybe what it's like to have a disability that's hidden.
Well, the disability that's hidden, people don't understand that a lot of times, not even family members, because they can't see it. And when it has to do with trauma, I get, I used to get family members. I don't see my family anymore, but I used to get them saying, why don't you just get over it? I even was married, and the person told me, aren't you finished with that yet? You don't ever get finished with it. It's there.
Right.
It's not something, mental illness you do not get over.
I think people sometimes equate mental health and mental illness with like a mood.
Yes.
You know, and it's not that.
Right.
It's no easier for you to get over your mental illness than for me to get over blindness.
Exactly.
It's just not a thing that will happen. So now you have found a community in Bridgehaven.
Yes.
Can you tell me about Bridgehaven?
Yeah, Bridgehaven is a mental health center here in Louisville, and it's a big place. It's over on 2nd Street, and they are art based, and you get a therapist, but you also have therapists that you can interact with all day long. Everything is run by therapists or peer support specialists. So if my therapist is unavailable to me, then I can always go speak to one of the other ones without having to make an appointment. They're very generous with their time, and for the first time in my life, back when we had snow and I wasn't able to go, I mean, Bridgehaven is my lifeline. I actually had 3 of the therapists call me to see how I was doing.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And to me, that's just about unheard of.
And you said it's art based. Tell me about that.
They have a lot of programs with art. They have a lot of art therapists, and I had never done art therapy until starting to go there. And it's something that I can't even describe. How they can, I don't know, how they can tell what's going on or give insight to me through art. And, they'll ask certain questions about whatever it is I've created, and they pull things out of it that I would not have thought possible. They do fun things. It's not always just therapy. And about, 3 or 4 times a year, they have an opportunity for artists to sell things. There's a St. James, they have a table that we're allowed to sell things. They just had their spring art show. There's a Christmas bazaar. I mean, they give you a lot of opportunities to actually be able to make some money from your art.
Oh, wow. And what kind of art mediums are available, and what kind do you do?
I do sculptures.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And actually in the art studio, they have ceramics, they have a pottery wheel, they have a kiln, and they have just about every kind of art supply you can think of. All kinds of paint and drawing materials, and they have fabric, and people learn to sew. So it's helpful things. I mean, learning to sew is a good skill for some people to have.
True. True.
And I don't know where else they could learn that.
Now, can you tell me about maybe a piece you've recently created and kind of if there's any insight a therapist was able to glean from that piece?
They will ask questions like, I did a piece where the prompt was we do a visual journal. And what that is if people are writing in a journal, sometimes they're afraid that somebody will read it. A visual journal is something that you do collages in, you can draw in. And one of the prompts was to make something in your visual journal to describe how you feel today. And so I go through and just pick out pictures in magazines, and then they'll talk about it, like what makes you feel this way? Why did you choose this picture? Tell me about the process that you went through, and how did you feel before? How do you feel after? It's just it's really interesting.
That sounds like that would be very soothing for the mind to be focused
Very
on.
much so.
That does sound like it would be very soothing. I can see how that would be beneficial. So do you go to Bridgehaven every day?
I do.
How important is it for people with mental health disorders to find a place like Bridgehaven?
I think it's very important. Before Bridgehaven, I didn't go anywhere. And so I spend too much time thinking. Bridgehaven is structured. It gives me time to get out of myself. And when we do the art therapists like to call it the flow state. They want us to get into the flow state where you said it was just very soothing, a type of mindfulness.
And that's very difficult to achieve on your own, isn't it?
Correct. And also just being in a place where everybody else has a mental illness and you don't feel weird. Other people's mental illnesses don't bother me. We're all in the same boat and we're all there for the same reason.
Wouldn't it be nice if that was spread to the greater society where
that would be wonderful.
Where we were accepting of people's mental illnesses. So on that note, over the last, I don't know, I guess 20 years or so, have things changed in society?
Very much so. Well, in society, somewhat. I still believe it has a long way to go. There's still stigma. There's still, like with my diagnosis, there's still people who say that's not real. It's just like on television and you don't act that way. I actually had someone tell me that. I disclosed to a person that I was engaged to about my diagnosis, and she said, "You don't have that, because if you had that, you would act a lot different." And
wow.
People still believe, and even some professionals still believe, that dissociative identity disorder is not a valid diagnosis.
Is there improvement?
I do believe there's improvement, especially in places like Bridgehaven. There used to not be places like Bridgehaven, and people are on their own. You see a lot of homeless people who have mental illnesses because they either don't have anyone to help get them going in the right direction, no family. I can't stress enough how mental illness affects the relationship with your family. It's like there's one that's got something wrong with it. One child that's got something wrong, and they don't know how to handle that. A lot of times. Well, I'm going to say my family didn't know how to handle that, because I know that some families are very good with their kids who have mental illnesses and very proactive. Of
And I
course,
think that's an improvement, don't you?
I
That
do think that's an improvement.
that any families at all now are
Yeah,
willing to advocate and get help for their children.
right.
Um,
And you don't automatically get thrown into an institution anymore.
right, right. Does that still happen?
Um, I don't think so. At least in my world, I haven't seen it happen. The only time that I've seen people are short hospital stays. But
Right. Uh-huh.
I guess if a person was unable to even function in society, then they would probably be institutionalized. But on the whole, I don't think that everyone needs to be institutionalized, and I'm assuming that some of the people who are don't really need to be.
And you mentioned people who are homeless.
Hmm.
Just navigating the systems to get help is overwhelming.
Yes, it is.
And I think that is the root of a lot of homelessness, is just that the systems, I suspect by design, are
Hmm.
so difficult to navigate that it's not a choice to be able
Correct.
to do that.
Hmm.
And there are places like Centers for Independent Living,
Hmm.
and I guess Bridgehaven, who can help people to
Yes.
navigate those systems. How common is a place like Bridgehaven?
Not very common. I believe it's the only place. Well, it's not the only place in Louisville, but it's the only place of their type in Louisville. It's just I can't even describe what it is, what it's like there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a community. You don't feel like you're going into a place to have your head shrunk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a
It,
community of people.
so it's kind of like finding a home.
It is, definitely.
That's great. So tell me, well, what would you tell someone who's struggling with mental illness? I think shame is sometimes something people feel,
Yes, yes.
because we're told, of course, like I think you and I spoke earlier about, you just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and it's all on you, and this
Hmm.
individualism, which we know is all a fallacy. People
Yeah.
don't really live that way. So, what would you tell someone who is struggling with mental illness?
Well, I would tell them first not to give up and that there are places and there are phone numbers. I have written a book, and in that book, I put in the numbers of mental health agencies that people could call if they, needed to do that. What I would tell somebody though is that there is help out there. They just need to be able to get plugged into it. And how? That's a good question. That's a really good question because, like we were talking about, the homeless people don't have access to much of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's one part I think that needs to be worked on in our society is having things readily available for people with mental illnesses
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that
and
anybody can access.
right, to make it easier. the
Yes.
The barrier to entry is so high to
Hmm.
even get basic services.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so it is definitely hard, to do, but I like what you said about don't give up.
Yeah.
Anyone who hears our podcast, don't give up. And so what can you say to someone who maybe knows a family member or a friend who's struggling? What can they do to help?
Well, what they can do is first just listen
Mm-hmm.
and not give advice as to what they should do or how they should be, because families sometimes tend to do that. I would say just let them be who they are and not try to put them in some kind of a box. People are different anyway. Um, And definitely, if it's a family member, I would say try help them get help. Hook them up to something that will help them, and in the end, it will help because the person who has the mental illness is getting help. They're feeling better about themselves, and I think that would just have an overall effect on the family itself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I agree. I agree. But judging others, that's kind of like the favorite American pastime, isn't it? That's just what we do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
We love to do that. So maybe we should put that aside and just accept people as they are. And if there's struggles, let's believe that they're struggling and do what we can to try to find help. Because sometimes it's just calling a number.
Right. And I like what you said about believe. People need to believe in what somebody else is telling them and not negate it. Belief is a big thing. Like we talked about, when people don't believe there's such a thing as my diagnosis. That doesn't feel good.
No. Uh-huh. Yeah. It's important to, we've come a long way, like you said, but still so far to go. So far to go.
Definitely.
Anyone listening can, of course, call the Center for Accessible Living, and they can reach out to Bridgehaven if you're in Louisville. And if not, then reach out to your local, wherever you are, your local or area Center for Independent Living, because that's what we do. We will find. We don't know the number to tell you. We don't know who you to call, but we'll find it for you.
I would even think that if somebody has a primary care physician and would even talk about it with their physician, I imagine that they could hook them up.
That's a great idea as well. That's a wonderful idea. Reese, this has been a fascinating conversation, and I have learned a lot, and I think it's important to continue to talk about mental health and mental illness. So thank you so much for joining us today and for educating me and our listeners on so many aspects of mental health. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. No problem.
And best of luck to you. Demand and Disrupt is a production of the Avocado Press with generous support from the Center for Accessible Living based in Louisville, Kentucky. Our executive producers are me, Kimberly Parsley, and Dave Mathis. Our sound engineer is Michael Parsley. Thanks to Chris Ankin for the use of his song, Change. Don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please consider leaving a review. You can find links to our email and social media in the show notes. Please reach out and let's keep the conversation going. Thanks, everyone.
Just for once, I think I would agree. We both know there's a difference. We've had our curtain call, and this time the writing's on the wall. teach and